is the night to the sleepless, long is the road to the weary traveler, long is the cycle of rebirths to the unwise, who do not know the truth. Should a traveler fail to find a companion equal or better, rather than suffer the company of a fool, he should resolutely walk alone. I have children, I have wealth. These are the empty claims of an unwise man. If he cannot call himself his own, how can he then claim children and wealth as his own? To the extent that a fool knows his foolishness, he may be deemed wise. A fool who considers himself wise is indeed a fool. A fool may associate with a wise man throughout his life and remain untouched by his wisdom, even as a spoon cannot taste the flavor of soup. On the other hand, an unaware man in a moment's meeting can learn from...
The bridge was like 100 feet in front of us in this nice motel, and there was a casino connected to it. So I went to the casino just to walk by, to walk inside. I wanted to gamble a little, and there was a rabbi there, and he was gambling, and I'm like, "What are you doing gambling?" He's like, "Hey, at least I'm not drinking the non-kosher."
When I pulled out Sorrow's shaft, I showed you the way. It is you who must make the effort. The masters only point the way. But if you meditate and follow the law, you will free yourself from desire. Everything arises and passes away. When you see this, you are above sorrow. This is the shining way. Existence is sorrow. Understand and go beyond sorrow. This is the way of brightness. Existence is illusion. Understand. Go beyond. This is the way of clarity.
This old man places his grandson on a stove and boils him because he has Alzheimer's disease. Since the child survived such a thing, his parents...
You are strong. You are young.
The fool,
It is time to
long
arise.
is the night to the
So,
sleepless,
arise.
long is the road to the weary traveler. The fool, long is the night to the sleepless, long is the road to the weary traveler, long is the cycle of rebirths to the unwise, who do not know the truth. Should a traveler fail to find a companion equal or better, rather than suffer the company of a fool, he should resolutely walk alone. I have children, I have wealth. These are the empty claims of an unwise man. If he cannot call himself his own, how can he then claim children and wealth as his own? To the extent that a fool knows his foolishness, he may be deemed wise. A fool who considers himself wise is indeed a fool. A fool may associate with a wise man throughout his life and remain untouched by his wisdom, even as a spoon cannot taste the flavor of soup. On the other hand, an aware man in a moment's meeting can learn from a wise man even as the tongue tastes the flavor of soup. The unwise man, lacking understanding, behaves as if he were his own worst enemy, committing evil deeds that produce bitter fruit. It is unwise to do things that bring regret and require repentance, to cause suffering for oneself and a weeping and tearful face. It is wise to do things which do not require repentance, but bring joy and fulfillment, happiness and delight. Until he feels the effect, the fool rejoices in his evil deed. When the action reaches fruition, the fool harvests nothing but grief. Though the fool may practice asceticism, eating a speck of food on the tip of a blade of grass, he is not worth 1/16 of the Arahant, the knower of the Dharma. An evil deed does not produce its results at once. It smolders slowly like a fire covered by ashes and finally consumes its doer, the fool. The things a fool gains amount to nothing. Unwholesome acts cannot bring him wholesome results. What a fool hungers for is false fame, authority, power over others, and generous offerings. He seeks recognition as a doer, a wielder of power, a knower of right and wrong, his craving and pride are insatiable. There is a path that leads to worldly gain, another road leads to nirvana. Let the seeker, the disciple of Buddha, embracing seclusion, take the path to wisdom and enlightenment. Number 6, the wise. If someone sees an intelligent person who is skillfully able to point out shortcomings and give suitable reproof, let him The meditation on Aleph. I am without beginning, without end, older than night or day, younger than the babe newborn, brighter than light, darker than darkness, beyond all things and creatures, yet fixed in the heart of everyone. From me the shining worlds flow forth to me. The meditation on Aleph. I am Mind is the forerunner of all actions. All deeds are led by mind, created by mind. If one speaks or acts with a serene mind, happiness follows as surely as unhappiness lies in wait for happiness. But who is aware that the highest good is not to have orders issued? For otherwise order turns into oddities and good The wise. If someone sees an intelligent person who is skillfully able to point out shortcomings and give suitable reproof, let him cherish such a revealer of hidden treasures. Only good can come from such an association. Let the wise one guide, correct, and deter others from what is base and vile. He will be treasured by the good and spurned by the evil. Do not choose bad friends. Do not choose persons of low habits. Select good friends. Be discriminating. Choose the best. Whoever drinks deeply of Dharma lives happily with a peaceful mind. The wise man rejoices in the Dhamma taught by the holy ones. Irrigators contain the flowing waters. Arrowsmiths fashion arrows. Carpenters shape wood to their design. Wise men mold their characters. As a solid rock stands firm in the wind, even so is a wise man unmoved by praise or blame. As a deep lake remains still and clear, so do wise men, listening to the teachings, attain a serene mind. The good certainly cling to nothing, they do not talk aimlessly, concerned with personal gains, the wise, the saintly. Whether experiencing comfort or discomfort, show neither elation nor depression. Not for one's own or another's gain should one commit an evil deed, regardless of the desire for children, wealth, or kingdom, or any other kind of success. One should remain virtuous, wise, and righteous. The few cross over to the far shore. The many merely run back and forth fruitlessly along the side of the stream. But only those who follow the carefully taught law can cross to the other shore beyond the grasp of death so hard to overcome. Let the wise man shun the cauldron of confusion and proceed on the path of light. Let him leave the comfort of home, forsaking sensual pleasures, freeing himself from all obstacles, delighting in seclusion, not an ordinary man's choice, and devote himself to cleansing the blemishes of the mind. Those who have carefully cultivated their minds in tune with the elements of enlightenment, who, without grasping delight and detachment, cleansed of all corruption and therefore shining brightly, send forth brilliant light. Otherwise, if someone sees an intelligent person who is skillfully able to point out shortcomings and give suitable reproof,
through irresolution and idleness, you lose the way. Master your words, master your thoughts. Never allow your body to do harm. Follow these 3 roads with purity, and you will find yourself upon the one way, the way of wisdom. Sit in the world, sit in the dark, sit in meditation, sit in light. Choose your seat. Let wisdom grow. Cut down the forest, not the tree, for out of the forest comes danger. Cut down the forest, fell desire, and set yourself free. While a man desires a woman, his mind is bound as closely as a calf to its mother. As you would pluck an autumn lily, pluck the arrow of desire. For he who is awake has shown you the way of peace. Give yourself to the journey. Here shall I make my dwelling in the summer and the winter and in the rainy season. So the fool makes his plans, sparing not a thought for his death. Death overtakes the man who, giddy and distracted by the world, cares only for his flocks and his children. Death fetches him away as a flood carries off a sleeping village. His family cannot save him, not his father, nor his sons. Know this. Seek wisdom and purity. Quickly clear the way. Out of the forest. There is pleasure, and there is bliss. Forgo the first to possess the second. If you are happy at the expense of another man's happiness, you are forever bound. You do not what you should. You do what you should not. You are reckless, and desire grows. But the master is wakeful. He watches his body. In all his actions, he discriminates, and he becomes pure. He is without blame, though once he may have murdered his mother and his father, 2 kings, a kingdom, and all its subjects. Though the kings were holy, and their subjects among the virtuous, yet is he blameless. The followers of the awakened awake, and day and night they watch and meditate upon their master. Forever wakeful, they mind the law. They know their brothers on the way. They understand the mystery of the body. They find joy in all beings. They delight in meditation. It is hard to live in the world, and hard to live out of it. It is hard to be one among many. And for the wanderer, how long is the road wandering through many lives? Let him rest. Let him not suffer. Let him not fall into suffering. If he is a good man, a man of faith, honored and prosperous, wherever he goes, he is welcome. Like the Himalayas, good men shine from afar, but bad men move unseen like arrows in the night. Sit, rest, work, alone with yourself, never weary. On the edge of the forest, live joyfully, without desire. The dark. One man denies the truth, another denies his own actions. Both go into the dark, and in the next world suffer, where they offend truth. Wear the yellow robe, but if you are reckless, you will fall into darkness. If you are reckless, better to swallow molten iron than eat at the table of good folk. If you court another man's wife, you court trouble. Your sleep is broken, you lose your honor, you fall into darkness. You go against the law, you go into the dark. Your pleasures end in fear, and the king's punishment is harsh. But as a blade of grass held awkwardly may cut your hand, so renunciation may lead you into the dark. For if in your renunciation you are reckless and break your word, if your purpose wavers, you will not find light. Do what you have to do, resolutely, with all your heart. A traveler who hesitates only raises dust on the road.
Okay, this is called the Arhant. The Arahant. There is no burning for him who has completed the journey, who is free of sorrows and all else, who has broken off all chains. The mindful put forth great effort. They do not remain content in the household life, but leave their homes behind, just as swans leave a muddy lake. Arahants do not hoard. They take a right view of eating, focused on deliverance and void. They leave no trace like the path of birds in the sky. He who is free from obsessions, eating simply, clear-headed and focused on liberation like a migrating bird, leave no trace of a track in the sky. Even the gods delight in the presence of one who has freed himself from pride and mental obsessions, who has his senses under control like horses trained by an expert trainer. Done with the round of rebirths, he is as accepting as the earth, as firm as a doorpost, placid as a pond, free of mud and dutiful. Whoever has reached a state of freedom through perfect wisdom, peaceful and unshakable, is non-violent in his mind, his speech, his action. Whoever is in touch with the infinite, free of attachment, desireless, is the highest among men. Delightful is the place of where the saints dwell, be it village or forest, cavern or open field. Delightful are forests where more worldly men find no joy, being free of the pull of desire. Saints who seek no worldly pleasures find delight in such places. This is called Thousands. This is the 8th chapter of the Dhammapada, Sayings of the Buddha. A single wise word bringing peace to the listener is worth more than 1,000 speeches full of empty words. A single verse full of meaning bringing peace to the listener is worth more than 1,000 verses full of empty words. One may recite 100 verses full of vain descriptions, but a single verse bringing peace to the listener is worth far more. One may conquer 1,000,000 men in a single battle, however, the greatest and best warrior conquers himself. Conquest of oneself is the greatest victory of all. Neither a god nor a heavenly musician nor a mischievous angel of the highest of the 6 heavenly abodes, the Paranamita heaven where sensual pleasures prevail, can deprive the self-vanquished, restrained person of victory. And we'll come back to that.
Better to do nothing than to do what is wrong, or whatever you do to yourself. Like a border town well guarded, guard yourself within and without. Let not a single moment pass, lest you fall into darkness. Feel shame only where shame is due. Fear only what is fearful. See evil only in what is evil, lest you mistake the true way and fall into darkness. See what is. See what is not. Follow the true way. Rise.
I have been trying to find a way to help people for so long. The Sierra.
The elephant. I shall endure hard words as the elephant endures the shafts of battle. Or many people speak wildly. The tamed elephant goes to battle. The king rides him. The tamed man is the master. He can endure hard words in peace. Better than a mule or the fine horses of Sind or the mighty elephants of war is the man who has mastered himself. Not on their backs can he reach the untrodden country, but only on his own. The mighty elephant Dhanabalaka is wild when he is in rut, and when...
The Arahant. There is no burning for him who has completed the journey, who is free of sorrows and all else, who has broken off all chains. The mindful put forth great effort. They do not remain content in the household life, but leave their homes behind, just as swans leave a muddy lake. Arahants do not hoard. They take a right view of eating, Focused on deliverance and void, they leave no trace like the path of birds in the sky. He who is free from obsessions, eating simply, clear-headed and focused on liberation like a migrating bird, leave no trace of a track in the sky. Even the gods delight in the presence of one who has freed himself from pride and mental obsessions, who has his senses under control like horses trained by an expert trainer. Done with the round of rebirths, he is as accepting as the earth, as firm
He
as
will
the
not eat,
goalpost,
remembering
as
the
the
elephant
born
grove.
free.
The fool is idle. He eats and he rolls in his sleep like a hog in a sty, and he has to live life over again. My own mind used to wander wherever pleasure or desire or lust led it, but now I have it tamed. I guide it as the keeper guides the wild elephant. Awake, be the witness of your thoughts. The elephant hauls himself from the mud. In the same way, drag yourself out of your sloth. If the traveler can find a virtuous and wise companion, let him go with him joyfully and overcome the dangers of the way. But if you cannot find friend or master to go with you, travel on alone, like a king who has given away his kingdom, like an elephant in the forest. Travel on alone, rather than with a fool for company. Do not carry with you your mistakes. Do not carry your cares. Travel on alone, like an elephant in the forest. To have friends in need is sweet, and to share happiness, and to have done something good before leaving this life is sweet, and to let go of sorrow. To be a mother is sweet, and a father. It is sweet to live arduously, and to master yourself. Oh, how sweet it is to enjoy life living in honesty and strength, and wisdom is sweet, and freedom. Desire. If you sleep, desire grows in you, like a vine in the forest. Like a monkey in the forest, you jump from tree to tree, never finding the fruit. From life to life, never finding peace. If you are filled with desire, your sorrows swell like the grass after the rain. But if you subdue desire, your sorrows fall from you like drops of water from a lotus flower. This is good counsel, and it is for everyone. As the grass is cleared for the fresh root, cut down desire, lest death after death crush you, as a river crushes the helpless reeds. For if the roots hold firm, a felled tree grows up again. If desires are not uprooted, sorrows grow again in you. 36 streams are rushing toward you, desire and pleasure and lust. Play in your imagination with them and they will sweep you away. Powerful streams, they flow everywhere. Strong vine, if you see it spring up, take care. Pull it out by the roots. Pleasures flow everywhere. You float upon them and are carried from life to life. Like a hunted hare you run, the pursuer of desire pursued, harried from life to life. O seeker, give up desire. Shake off your chains. You have come out of the hollow into the clearing. The clearing is empty. Why do you rush back into the hollow? Desire is a hollow, and people say, look, he was free, but now he gives up his freedom. It is not iron that imprisons you, nor rope, nor wood, but the pleasure you take in gold and jewels and sons and wives. Soft fetters, yet they hold you down. Can you snap them? There are those who can, who surrender the world, forsake desire, and follow the way. O slave of desire, float upon the stream. Little spider, stick to your web, or else abandon your sorrows for the way. Abandon yesterday, and tomorrow, and today. Cross over to the farther shore, beyond life and death. Do your thoughts trouble you? Does passion disturb you? Beware of thirstiness, lest your wishes become desires, and desire binds you. Quieten your mind. Reflect. Watch. Nothing binds you. You are free. You are strong. You have come to the end, free from passion and desire. You have stripped the thorns from the stem. This is your last body. You are wise. You are free from desire, and you understand words and the stitching together of words, and you want nothing. Victory is mine. Knowledge is mine, and all purity, all surrender. I want nothing. I am free. I found my way. Whom shall I call teacher? The gift of truth is beyond giving, the taste beyond sweetness, the joy beyond joy. The end of desire is the end of sorrow. The fool is his own enemy. Seeking wealth, he destroys himself. Seek rather the other shore. Weeds choke the field. Passion poisons the nature of man, and hatred, illusion, and desire. Honor the man who is without passion, hatred, illusion, and desire. What you give to him will be given back to you, and more. The Seeker. Master your senses. What you taste and smell, what you see, what you hear. In all things, be a master of what you do and say and think. Be free. You are a seeker. Delight in the mastery of your hands and your feet, of your words and your thoughts. Delight in meditation and in solitude. Compose yourself. Be happy. You are a seeker. Hold your tongue. Do not exalt yourself, but lighten the way, for your words are sweet. Follow the truth of the way. Reflect upon it. Make it your own. Live it. It will always sustain you. Do not turn away what is given you, nor reach out for what is given to others, lest you disturb your quietness. Give thanks for what has been given you, however little. Be pure. Never falter. You have no name and no form. Why miss what you do not have? The seeker is not sorry. Love and joyfully follow the way, the quiet way to the happy country. Seeker, empty the boat, lighten the load, passion and desire and hatred, and sail swiftly. There are 5 at the door to turn away, and 5 more, and there are 5 to welcome in. And when 5 have been left stranded on the shore, the seeker is called O Gati Nati, he who has crossed over. Seeker, do not be reckless. Meditate constantly, or you will swallow fire and cry out, no more. If you are not wise, how can you steady the mind? If you cannot quieten yourself, what will you ever learn? How will you become free? With a quiet mind, come into that empty house, your heart, and feel the joy of the way beyond the world. Look within, the rising and the falling. What happiness! How sweet to be free. It is the beginning of life, of mastery and patience, of good friends along the way, of a pure and active life. So, live in love. Do your work. Make an end of your sorrows. Or see how the jasmine releases and lets fall its withered flowers. Let fall willfulness and hatred. Are you quiet? Quieten your body. Quieten your mind. You want nothing. Your words are still. You are still. By your own efforts, awaken yourself. Watch yourself. And live joyfully. You are the master. You are the refuge. As a merchant breaks in a fine horse, master yourself. How gladly you follow the words of the awakened, how quietly, how surely you approach the happy country, the heart of stillness. However young, the seeker who sets out upon the way shines bright over the world. Like the moon, come out from behind the clouds, shine. The true master. Wanting nothing with all your heart, stop the stream. When the world dissolves, everything becomes clear. Go beyond this way or that way to the farther shore, where the world dissolves and everything becomes clear. Beyond this shore and the farther shore, beyond the beyond, where there is no beginning, no end, without fear, go. Meditate. Live purely. Be quiet. Do your work with mastery. By day the sun shines and the warrior in his armor shines. By night the moon shines and the master shines in meditation. But day and night the man who is awake shines in the radiance of the spirit. The master gives up mischief. He is serene. He leaves everything behind him. He does not take offense and he does not give it. He never returns evil for evil. Alas for the man who raises his hand against another, and even more for him who returns the blow. Resist the pleasures of life and the desire to hurt, till sorrows vanish. Never offend by what you think or say or do. Honor the man who is awake and shows you the way. Honor the fire of his sacrifice. Matted hair or family or caste do not make a master, but the truth and goodness with which he is blessed. Your hair is tangled and you sit on a deerskin. What folly, when inside you are ragged with lust. The master's clothes are in tatters. His veins stand out. He is wasting away. Alone in the forest, he sits and meditates. A man is not born to mastery. A master is never proud. He does not talk down to others. Owning nothing, he misses nothing. He is not afraid. He does not tremble. Nothing binds him. He is infinitely free. So cut through the strap and the thong and the rope. Loosen the fastenings. Unbolt the doors of sleep and awake.
What's
The master endures insults and ill treatment without reacting. For his spirit is an army. He is never angry. He keeps his promises. He never strays. He is determined. This body is my last, he says. Like water on the leaf of a lotus flower, or a mustard seed on the point of a needle, he does not cling, for he has reached the end of sorrow and has laid down his burden. He looks deeply into things and sees their nature. He discriminates and reaches the end of the way. He does not linger with those who have a home, nor with those who stray. Wanting nothing, he travels on alone. He hurts nothing, he never kills. He moves with love among the unloving, with peace and detachment among the hungry and querulous. Like a mustard seed from the point of a needle, hatred has fallen from him, and lust, hypocrisy, and pride. He offends no one, yet he speaks the truth. His words are clear, but never harsh. Whatever is not his, he refuses, good or bad, great or small. He wants nothing from this world, and nothing from the next. He is free. Desiring nothing, doubting nothing, beyond judgment and sorrow and the pleasure of the senses, he has moved beyond time. He is pure and free. How clear he is. He is the moon. He is serene. He shines. For he has traveled life after life the muddy and treacherous road of illusion. He does not tremble or grasp or hesitate. He has found peace. Calmly, he lets go of life, of home, and pleasure, and desire. Nothing of men can hold him. Nothing of the gods can hold him. Nothing in all creation can hold him. Desire has left him, never to return. Sorrow has left him, never to return. He is calm. In him the seed of renewing life has been consumed. He has conquered all the inner worlds. With dispassionate eye he sees everywhere the falling and the uprising. And with great gladness he knows that he has finished. He has woken from his sleep. And the way he has taken is hidden from men, even from spirits and gods, by virtue of his purity. In him there is no yesterday, no tomorrow, no today. Possessing nothing, wanting nothing, he is full of power. Fearless, wise, exalted, he has vanquished all things. He sees by virtue of his purity. He has come to the end of the way, over the river of his many lives, his many deaths, beyond the sorrow of hell, beyond the great joy of heaven, by virtue of his purity. He has come to the end of the way. All that he had to do, he has done. And now, he is one.
And Afterword, written and read by Jacob Needleman.
Buddhism was born in India. In its beginnings, it conceived of itself not as a new religion, but as a reconstitution of what is essential in the vastness of the Hindu tradition. Taken as a whole, the Hindu religion can be likened to an Olympian armed campaign with great generals dispersed abroad, their huge armies and infinitely variegated weaponry converging upon the enemy, the ego, under some divinely conceived master strategy. Compared to this, Buddhism appears upon the Indian scene as a direct, hand-to-hand attack with no holds barred, striking instantly and mercilessly at the enemy's weakest point. By and large, Buddhism has retained this quality of one-pointed practicality, even amid the later flowering of a metaphysics and mythology which, in all of its aspects, rivals the entirety of Hinduism. Put succinctly, the Buddha, who is understood to have lived and taught in the 6th century BC, taught that the principal cause of all human suffering and desolation is the deeply ingrained belief that there is such a thing as a self or ego that persists through time and change. Everything else in Buddhism is art, philosophy, rituals, and techniques, originated as tools for the destruction of man's illusion that he is a self. This doctrine of no self, or non-Atman, is, as it is said, the diamond which cuts through all errors and confusions of humanity. According to this teaching, everything in human nature is in flux, and a man is nothing but a serial bundle of sensations, thoughts, and feelings, one proceeding from another with nothing to hold them together either in life or death. And not only man, but all things in the universe are without self, without a fixed nature that abides from moment to moment. In the endless and rigorously determined chain of cause and effect that constitutes the universe, we human beings fail by fixing our interest or desire upon one or another phenomenal aggregate, either within ourself or external to ourself.
Okay, this is more Dhammapada. The honor paid to the one who has achieved self-mastery for one single instant is worth more than monthly offerings of 1,000 pieces of gold. Honoring the one who has achieved self-mastery for one single instant is worth more than living in the forest, tending the sacred fire for 100 years. Making offerings for glory and recognition is not 1/4 as worthy as honoring the upright. Whoever shows reverence and respect for the aged is rewarded fourfold, with long life, beauty, happiness, and strength. Even a single day of a life lived virtuously and meditatively is worth more than 100 years lived wantonly and without discipline. A single day's life of a wise and contemplative man is worth more than 100 years lived wantonly and without discipline. A single day's life of one who puts out great effort is better than a life of 100 years lived in idleness and sluggishness. A single day's life lived by a man who grasps the impermanence of all conditioned things is worth more than 100 years lived in blindness and ignorance. A single day's life of one who sees the deathless state is worth more than 100 years lived without perceiving it. A single day's life of one who sees the truth is worth more than 100 years of not seeing the truth. Okay, this is chapter 9, Evil Dhammapada. Do not lose a moment of doing good. Protect your mind from evil. Whoever neglects doing good is inviting addiction to evil. If a man has mistakenly committed an evil deed, let him not repeat it. Let him not be addicted to evil, for it is the amassing of evil that brings misery. On the other hand, if a man does good, let him do it repeatedly. Let him put his heart into it. For the accumulation of good brings blessings. Even an evildoer feels happy before his negative actions reach fruition. However, when the evil ripens, he will have a bountiful harvest of evil results. A good man sees what is unwholesome before his good deeds reach fruition. However, when the good ripens, he will have a bountiful harvest of good results. Don't underestimate evil, saying, "It can't happen to me." As a pot slowly fills up with water, drop by drop, so does the fool little by little become full of evil. Don't underestimate good, saying, "It can't happen to me." Water falling drop by drop will fill even a large pot. Likewise, the wise man accumulating good little by little becomes goodness itself. One should shun all evil as a merchant with treasure and a small caravan avoids a dangerous road, or as a man loving life shuns
The honor
poison.
paid to the one who has achieved self-mastery for once.
Therein is the root of all our sorrow. What can liberate us is the deep and thorough understanding of all things, including the personality, as causally determined processes of becoming. Consciousness, meaning the totality of thought, feeling, perception, sensation, pleasure, and pain, is not a being, but a passion, not an activity, but only a sequence of reactions in which we, who have no power to be either as or when we will, are fatally involved. Individuality is motivated by and perpetuated by wanting, and the cause of all wanting is ignorance. For we ignore that the objects of our desire can never be possessed in any real sense of the word, ignore that even when we have got what we want, we still want to keep it and are still in the state of desire. The ignorance meant is of things as they really are, and the consequent attribution of substantiality to what is merely phenomenal, the seeing of self in what is not self. At first glance, this doctrine of no self seems in direct opposition to the Hindu view. But if there is any general view with which the Buddhist doctrine conflicts, it is surely our own Western worldview, as embodied not only in the popular understanding of Judeo-Christian doctrine, but in the goals our whole civilization has set for itself. The religions of the West have imbued us with the idea of an individual eternal soul created by God, also in his way an individual, infinitely precious and irreducibly real. As our modern society drew away from religious doctrine, it substituted for the soul the idea of individual personality, not immortal perhaps, but for that very reason all the more our own and precious. The establishment of our identity, our role, has been the banner cry not only of scientific psychology, but of all the major intellectual movements of modern times, including existentialism and humanism. We measure a person's strength by what we take to be the distinctness and vividness of his individuality, and we all seek to make our mark, either as artists, scientists, or business people. To the Buddhist, all this striving is the pursuit of a phantom. The identity we seek to establish is nothing more than a thought, a picture in the mind of what we are or can be. It is in no wise based on fact. Our sense of persistence and sameness through change is a trick played upon us by the automatic functions of memory, and buttressed by the fact that we are given a name and treated by others as though we were a self. Indeed, our whole society is but a vast collection of sleepwalkers, each addressing the other and conceiving of himself within his own dream of selfhood. All our ideas of morality and obligation, blame and praise are based on this dream and serve only to strengthen the illusion of its reality. Putting the Buddhist doctrine of no self in the above way, its congruence with Hindu thought becomes clearer. We might say that for the Hindu or Brahmanic religion, human ignorance is the ignorance of who we are, of our ultimate divinity, where for Buddhism, it is ignorance of what we are not. We are not this ego. It is in fact a cardinal trait of Buddhism that its teachings are in negative terms. Break down the illusion, the error, and the truth will appear by itself, for it is always there. It is only obscured and hidden by our ignorant beliefs about ourselves and the desires attached thereto. Of all the great religious teachers of the world, none has incarnated and lived the idea that ultimate reality is beyond the grasp of the ordinary mind with more purity and concentration than the Buddha. This in part explains why the Buddha's discourses say nothing about the existence of a supreme being, for example, or about immortality. Such questions tend not to edification, since they are put by the deluded mind, which is quite content to speculate endlessly about these matters while clinging to the very beliefs which perpetuate its suffering. Its strategy of negation has misled many Westerners into thinking Buddhism is pessimistic and anti-life. Some have even thought of nirvana, the ultimate goal of Buddhist discipline, as a sort of spiritual suicide. Nothing could be further from the truth, and in fact, there is no religion which has a higher estimation of human possibility. It is only that it is not spoken of directly and positively. The exalted level of nirvana can be seen indirectly by attending to everything which the Buddhists say it is not. It is not love, consciousness, peace, freedom, happiness, or immortality in any sense that we understand. We are given no words for it because we have no experience of it. And in the absence of a corresponding experience, names merely purchase further illusions. The Gospels, we may recall, also speak of the peace that passeth understanding. We come to the conclusion that just as the great mystics and saints of our own traditions could describe the supreme reality only by negation and analogy, so the Buddhist tells us of nirvana. Since, however, nirvana also designates the whole of reality, then we see why Buddhism also refuses to admit that our ordinary thinking and language can accurately be applied to anything that is real. Thus, reality is also named the void, or emptiness. A final note, especially important when we come to inquire if a genuine Buddhist way can take root on our own soil. Buddhist moral rules are never ends in themselves. It is essential to realize that ethical commandments in the Dhammapada are understood as necessary preliminaries to any greater spiritual development. What is especially valuable about the Dhammapada is that it shows us there is no real separation between true human morality and the process of inner development. The admonitions and insights in this great text resonate on all levels of our search for our authentic humanity. At one stroke, they bring inspiration to our halting everyday efforts to care for our neighbor and guidance in our efforts to look into ourselves for the radiant energy that is traditionally termed the Buddha nature. The Dhammapada presents itself as the actual sayings of Gautama Buddha and was originally compiled for the growing community of Buddhist monks. It was apparently in existence by the time of the Emperor Ashoka in 250 BC and quickly became popular with all schools of Buddhist thought and practice. It is now, no doubt, time for it to speak more universally to the whole of our morally and spiritually hungry modern world. See,
This column already has 1, 2, and 4. So this cell is 3. This box already has 1.
Tao Te Ching can be translated as the book of the all. Tao Te Ching. 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness. The gateway to all understanding. 2. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. high and low, depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. 3. If you overesteem great men, people become powerless. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. The master leads by emptying people's minds and filling their cores, by weakening their ambition and toughening their resolve. He helps people lose everything they know, everything they desire, and creates confusion in those who think that they know. Is not the eternal name. Practice not doing, and everything will fall into place. 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden, but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. 5. The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. 6. The Tao is called the Great Mother. Empty, yet inexhaustible, it gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. 7. The Tao is infinite, eternal. Why is it eternal? It was never born, thus it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desires for itself, thus it is present for all beings. The Master stays behind. That is why she is ahead. She is detached from all things. That is why she is one with them. Because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. 8. The Supreme Good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain. Thus, it is like the Tao. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. 9. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. 10. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing, having without possessing, acting with no expectations, leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue. 11. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center whole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. 12. Colors blind the eye. Sounds deafen the ear. Flavors numb the taste. Thoughts weaken the mind. Desires wither the heart. The master observes the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open as the sky. 13. Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. 14. Look, and it can't be seen. Listen, and it can't be heard. Reach, and it can't be grasped. Above, it isn't bright. Below, it isn't dark. Seamless, unnameable, it returns to the realm of nothing. Form that includes all forms. Image without an image. Subtle, beyond all conception. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, but you can be it, at ease in your own life. Just realize where you come from. This is the essence of wisdom. 15. The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. All we can describe is their appearance. They were careful as someone crossing an iced-over stream, alert as a warrior in enemy territory, courteous as a guest, fluid as melting ice, shapeable as a block of wood, receptive as a valley, clear as a glass of water. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? The master doesn't seek fulfillment. Not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. 16. Empty your mind of all thoughts. Let your heart be at peace. Watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. If you don't realize the source, you stumble in confusion and sorrow. When you realize where you come from, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, dignified as a king. Immersed in the wonder of the Tao, you can deal with whatever life brings you. And when death comes, you are ready. 17. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, "Amazing, we did it, all by ourselves." 18. When the great Tao is forgotten,
You're wrong, Vidot. It's
goodness
the opposite,
and
brother.
piety
It's
appear.
the opposite.
When the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. 19. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these three aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. 20. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. Other people are excited, as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about, like someone without a home. I am like an idiot. My mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharp. I alone am dull. Other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I am different from ordinary people. I drink from the Great Mother's breasts. 21. The Master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That is what gives her her radiance. The Tao is ungraspable. How can her mind be at one with it? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. Since before time and space were, the Tao is. It is beyond is and is not. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. 22. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. 23. Express yourself completely, then keep quiet. Be like the forces of nature. When it blows, there is only wind. When it rains, there is only rain. When the clouds pass, the sun shines through. If you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao, and you can embody it completely. If you open yourself to insight, you are at one with insight, and you can use it completely. If you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss, and you can accept it completely. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. 24. He who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm. He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself can't know who he really is. He who has power over others can't empower himself. He who clings to his work will create nothing that endures. If you want to accord with the Tao, just do your job, then let go. 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. It flows through all things, inside and outside, and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great. The universe is great. Earth is great. Man is great. These are the four great powers. Man follows the earth. Earth follows the universe. The universe follows the Tao. The Tao follows only itself. 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. 27. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. A good scientist has freed himself of concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. Power himself. Thus the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. 28. Know the male, yet keep to the female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. The world is formed from the void, like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus she can use all things. 29. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. The world is sacred. It can't be improved. If you tamper with it, you'll ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it. There's a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. The Master sees things as they are, without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of the circle. 30. Whoever relies on the Tao in governing men doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force, there is a counterforce. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. The Master does his job and then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control, and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he is content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval. Because he accepts himself, the whole world accepts him. 31. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them, except in the direst necessity, and if compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is his highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He doesn't wish them personal harm, nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? He enters a battle gravely, with sorrow, and with great compassion, as if he were attending a funeral. 32. The Tao can't be perceived. Smaller than an electron, it contains uncountable galaxies. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace, and the law would be written in their hearts. When you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. When you have institutions, know where their functions should end. Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger. All things end in the Tao, as rivers flow into the sea. 33. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. If you stay in the center and embrace death with your whole heart, you will endure forever. 34. The great Tao flows everywhere. All things are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. It pours itself into its work, yet it makes no claim. It nourishes infinite worlds, yet it doesn't hold on to them. Since it is merged with all things and hidden in their hearts, it can be called humble. Since all things vanish into it, and it alone endures, it can be called great. It isn't aware of its greatness. Thus, it is truly great. 35. She who is centered in the Tao can go where she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony, even amid great pain, because she has found peace in her heart. Music or the smell of good cooking may make people stop and enjoy, but words that point to the Tao seem monotonous and without flavor. When you look for it, there is nothing to see. When you listen for it, there is nothing to hear. When you use it, it is inexhaustible. 36. If you want to shrink something, you must first allow it to expand. If you want to get rid of something, you must first allow it to flourish. If you want to take something, you must first allow it to be given. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just show people the results. 37. The Tao never does anything, yet through it all things are done. If powerful men and women could center themselves in it, the whole world would be transformed by itself in its natural rhythms. People would be content with their simple, everyday lives, in harmony and free of desire. When there is no desire, all things are at peace. 38. The master doesn't try to be powerful. Thus, he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power. Thus, he never has enough. The master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, yet many more are left to be done. The kind man does something, yet something remains undone. The just man does something, and leaves many things to be done. The moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos. Therefore, the master concerns himself with the depths and not the surface, with the fruit and not the flower. He has no will of his own. He dwells in reality and lets all illusions go. 39. In harmony with the Tao, the sky is clear and spacious. The earth is solid and full. All creatures flourish together, content with the way they are, endlessly repeating themselves, endlessly renewed. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy. The earth becomes depleted. The equilibrium crumbles. Creatures become extinct. The master views the parts with compassion because he understands the whole. His constant practice is humility. He doesn't glitter like a jewel, but lets himself be shaped by the Tao, as rugged and common as a stone. 40. Return is the movement of the Tao. There is no desire of the Tao. All things are born of being. Being is born of non-being. 41. When a superior man hears of the Tao, he immediately begins to embody it. When an average man hears of the Tao, he half believes it, half doubts it. When a foolish man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. If he didn't laugh, it wouldn't be the Tao. Thus it is said, the path into the light seems dark. The path forward seems to go back. The direct path seems long. True power seems weak. True purity seems tarnished. True steadfastness seems changeable. True clarity seems obscure. The greatest art seems unsophisticated. The greatest love seems indifferent. The greatest wisdom seems childish. The Tao is nowhere to be found, yet it nourishes and completes all things.
Okay, I'm gonna do a 3-minute recording of this British ballad called Lord Randall.
I hope you enjoy. Well, then we'll go right back to the Tao. Just a brief YouTube intermission. Here we go.
Lord Randall. Oh, where ha' you been, Lord Randall, my son? And where ha' you been, my handsome young man? I have been at the greenwood, mother, mak my bed soon, for I'm wearied wi' hunting and fain wad lie down. Let me let Thames stand till they dune fa, mither, mither. I'll let Thames stand till they dune fa, for here na veer my mound I be oh. And what will ye leave to your bairns and your wife, Edward, Edward? And what will ye leave to your bairns and your wife when ye gang over the sea, oh? The world is room, let them beg frae life, mither, mither. The world is room, let them beg frae life, for them never mair wool I see, oh. And what will ye leave to your ain mother dear, Edward, Edward? And what will ye leave to your ain mother dear, my dear son? Now tell me, oh, the curse of hell frae me salye bear, mither. The curse of hell, fray me salye bear. Sick counsels he gave to me, oh.
42. The Tao gives birth to one. One gives birth to two. Two gives birth to three. Three gives birth to all things. All things have their backs to the female and stand facing the male. When male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Ordinary men hate solitude, but the master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. 43. The gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. That which has no substance enters where there is no space. This shows the value of non-action. Teaching without words, performing without actions. That is the master's way. 44. Fame or integrity? Which is more important? Money or happiness? Which is more valuable? Success or failure? Which is more destructive? If you look to others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. 45. True perfection seems imperfect, yet it is perfectly itself. True fullness seems empty, yet it is fully present. True straightness seems crooked. True wisdom seems foolish. True art seems artless. The master allows things to happen. She shapes events as they come. She steps out of the way and lets the Tao speak for itself. 46. When a country is in harmony with the Tao, the factories make trucks and tractors. When a country goes counter to the Tao, warheads are stockpiled outside the cities.
And where have you been, my handsome young man? I have been at the greenwood, mother, make my bed soon, for I'm wearied wi' hunting and fain wad lie down. Let me let them stand till they dune fa, mither. I'll let them stand till they dune fa, for here never my mound I behold. What will ye leave to your bairns and your wife, Edward? And what will you leave to your bairns and your wife when ye gang over the sea, oh? The world is room, let them beg frae life, mither. The world is room, let them beg frae life, for fame never mehr wool I see, oh. What will ye leave to your ain mother dear, Edward? And what will ye leave to your ain mother dear, my dear son? Now tell me, oh, the curse of hell free, me shall ye bear, mither. The curse of hell free, me shall ye bear, sick
ounces ye gave to me, oh. Now, there is no greater illusion than fear. No greater wrong than preparing to defend yourself. No greater misfortune than having.
Okay, I'm going to do another 3-minute clip. This is a change of book. This is a little book of mystical secrets by Rumi Shams of Tappers and the Path of Ecstasy. Is Vedat still here? Because this is Islamic mysticism. I mean, it's, you know, he's kind of a polytheist. Hope you like it. Here we go. Ben, thanks for being here. God bless you all. Hope you enjoy this little reading. The world is a bad place for a person who doesn't understand it. Once he discovers the world properly, it will no longer have a hold over him. He might ask, what is the world? It's not the afterlife, he is told. What is the afterlife? Tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Indeed, the arena of language and words is difficult and utterly limited. The seeker asks questions, hoping to escape from the restricted world of language. But he gets twisted up in it even more with every new question. Just talking knowledgeably about an issue does not make it possible. To learn about anything, one has to try hard and exert much effort. For example, even if you and your father had chattered for 100 years, hoping that I would quit my sojourn in Aleppo and Damascus, do you suppose I would have just returned? No, not until you came carrying 400 dinars for traveling expenses, braving and tolerating the hardships and dangers of the road and risking your livelihood. Would I consider coming back? You have many obstacles in your way. Money, for most, is their Mecca. But the great masters have loosened its claws, and it no longer holds a grip on them. On the other hand, for those who are in love with the world, money is more precious than their sweet life, as if they were not even alive. Because if they were, how could money be dearer? Measurements vary from hand to hand and from knee to knee. You do not possess the same standards as Muhammad. You've allowed the Pharaoh of your ego to take over your soul and have lost hold of the Moses of your spirit. They come and go without your permission, and you have no control over either of them. Hold on to Moses so that Pharaoh can never return. This dithering between right and wrong will not benefit you in the long run. Stains on the soul must be wiped clean. Even a speck inside will cause more harm than 1,000 stains on the outside. What kind of water could possibly wash off that inner stain? Perhaps a few water skins filled with tears. They must be honest tears. After cleansing, a penitent can anticipate safety and protection. Finally, he can sleep peacefully. Tears and prayers that don't embrace spirit will carry you as far as your grave, but not beyond it.
Is a bad place for a person who doesn't understand it.
Whoever can see through all fear will always be safe. 47. Without opening your door, you can open your heart to the world. Without looking out your window, you can see the essence of the Tao. The more you know, the less you understand. The master arrives without leaving, sees the light without looking, achieves without doing a thing. 48. In the pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped. Less and less do you need to force things, until finally you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. True mastery can be gained by letting things go their own way. It can't be gained by interfering. 49. The master has no mind of her own. She works with the mind of the people. She is good to people who are good. She's also good to people who aren't good. This is true goodness.
The world is a bad place for a person who doesn't understand it. Once he discovers the world properly, it will no longer have a hold over him. He might ask, what is the world? It's not the afterlife, he is told. What is the afterlife? Tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Indeed, the arena of language and words is difficult and utterly limited. The seeker asks questions hoping to escape from the restricted world of language, but he gets twisted up in it, even